Welcome everybody to this short masterclass with me, Paul Garrigan, on womb-based masculinity at this time of year. So what I'd like you to do is to go and get yourself a pen and paper and make some notes, as this masterclass will last around 5 to 10 minutes, maybe a little longer. And I will be giving you some key takeaways really to be able to implement in your own life as we build up and spend time over the Christmas period, with our families. And for many men, it proves to be one of the most difficult times of years, as we indulge in some really unhelpful and toxic behaviours that, for me, are rooted and based in womb-based masculinity, and show up in a man's life as a form of escapism from his life, that we're looking to numb out and take ourselves away from the life that we have been living. And we're looking to, find some respite as we're in jobs that, are overly stressful, that we don't enjoy. We're maybe living with a lack of purpose. We're not doing things, all day, every day that we enjoy in our jobs and in our careers. And equally, we may be in unhealthy and toxic relationships, and things aren't, going the greatest for us. For a lot of men, this can be the case at this time of year, with a lot of stresses that are placed upon us. With, sometimes we have financial worries, having to buy, certain things for the kids and presents and for our partners, as well as, the other, stresses that come along with the Christmas period. And for a lot of us, we fall into these unhealthy habits and toxic behaviors, that we don't usually do at any other time of the year. But we give ourselves the green light, if you like, to have these unhealthy patterns of behavior that lead to us starting the year in January with, a big depression. And there's no coincidence that December and January is the most depressing time of the year for many people. And there's a reason why it's the highest month, or, season, if you like, for suicide rates amongst men. And this, for me, is rooted in womb-based masculinity, and in how we're showing up and, normalizing the abnormal, if you like, in terms of behaviors of, compulsion, impulses, overindulgence, and, simply binging. And, there's nothing wrong with having some sweets here and there, and the odd, maybe unhealthy meals here and there. I'm not telling anybody to live like a monk by any means, or there's nothing wrong with having a beer and a couple of drinks. But it's the simple compulsion to do it, maybe day after day or every few days, that leads us into a really dark place at this time of year, and for me, really weakens men and weakens the cycle of perpetuation of womb-based masculinity that we see in the world. And for me, even when we look at a time of year when, when everybody's off work, if you like, again, there's no coincidence that mental illness rises, drunken disorderly rises, addiction rises, domestics, arguments, violence rises, at this time of year, certainly over the Christmas period. And that runs in sync with unhealthy habits, behaviors, and actions. And, pretty much when we went into, lockdown a couple of years ago, we've seen a lot of people, fall into this, and that they were made to stop working for a prolonged period of time, if you like, which was obviously a couple of months, some people. And we've seen a rise of a lot of different mental illnesses, stress, problems, addictions, relationships breaking down. People were made to be with themselves. And this is what, for me, happens at Christmas, is we're made to be with ourselves. And, for many men, they will have struggled, at this time of year at some point in their life, certainly in childhood. Given the generations we've come from, it could have been quite prominent in them not to, in Christmas not to have always been the best time for us, or we may not have had the fondest memories, and these wounds are then triggered, and then play out in how we show up in life, and we believe we have a choice in these moments. But when we're unconscious, it's the belief that we have a choice. But for me, what is really driving our behaviours when we're looking at women-based masculinity at this time of year? So I'd just like to share with you, maybe a little bit of a map that you can use over the Christmas period to really begin to implement, some change and structure in your life. Like, as men, we really do appreciate structure and being able to take the necessary steps. So I'm just going to share a whiteboard with you shortly and, help you really to put some sort of map in place in your life. So if you've got a pen and paper, what I would say is maybe just drawing maybe a cross and a line right down the middle of your pen and paper, like this, like this, and then maybe get another line, sorry, and then we're drawing another line across the middle, like this. So we have sort of a cross. And then what I'd like you to write in this top corner would be habits and actions. And then in this box, if you write, go back to this, habits and actions. In the next box, if we have mental focus, and in the next box, we have doing fun things. And in the next box, we have setting goals and a vision. So when looking at these four pillars, if you like, how can we use these four pillars with foresight to see the behaviors and the actions and the habits that we need to implement in our everyday life, leading up to, this Christmas period anyway. Um, so maybe when we're looking at habits and actions, what habits and actions do you usually take part in over the Christmas period? And, write them down. Maybe drinking, maybe overindulging, it may be, having Netflix binges every day and completely switching off from the world. And just writing down maybe your current set of habits and actions. And then moving on to your mental focus. So at this time of year and leaning into the Christmas period, what seems to be your mental focus at this time? Where is my mind? Like, where is my mindset at? Am I escaping life? Am I working towards anything? Am I just taking time off? Am I being conscious? Is this a conscious choice? Have I got a mental focus right now? Or are my habits and actions helping my mental focus? Or are they taken away from it? Are they making me feel drained, depressed, down, anxious, feeling lousy, unworthy? Because your habits and actions will drive your mental focus. And, it's very much gonna, take a prominent lead, if you like, in designing our mindset and our mind state and, our mental fitness, if you like. So maybe writing that down and writing down what your mental focus is like from the habits and actions that may be unhelpful and unhealthy. And next, I'd like you to write down in the bottom left would be, what fun things are you doing over Christmas? And for many of us at this time of year, the fun things that we do, usually involve unhealthy eating, binge drinking, and binging on TV, for the whole period. And this can really, again, affect our mental focus and affects how we feel. We do fun things because we enjoy doing them and it makes us feel good when we're coming from a conscious place and when we're not coming from wound-based masculinity. But when we're coming from a place of unconsciousness, we will do fun things that make us feel worse. So if I was to say to you, we're going to go and do something and you're going to pay a hell of a lot of money for it, but you're going to feel terrible the next day and for the next couple of days, you'd think I was crazy. And this is exactly what 95% of men are doing at this time of year when they go out drinking, overindulging, overeating, slobbing, over binging, and putting themselves in a really weak position to start 2025. So maybe looking at them fun things or what you class as fun, and are they actually supportive of making you feel good, not just in the moment, but actually for days after. And finally, when we're looking at this Christmas period and using foresight, bringing on the executive function of your brain and the prefrontal cortex is, looking at what your vision is, looking at what your goals are, and setting goals that are big enough to stop you falling into painful habits. If we have a big enough why, if we have a big enough reason, then we won't fall into the same negative patterns of behavior that are not making us feel good, that are isolating us, that are keeping us confused and alone. We're looking for a way out. We're looking to do something differently. We've got a bigger why. Maybe we want to spend more quality time with our family. We want to be present with them. We want to, make memories and create good memories that we actually remember. And we're doing things that are actually supportive of our health and putting us in a growth state rather than taking away from us, putting us in a deflated state and in a catabolic state essentially. So looking at the goals you're setting at this time of year, are you setting any goals of how you want your Christmas period? Are you having a vision of how you'd like it to be? Because if we're not, we're falling away to being controlled by the external world, if you like. Pretty much like a feather in the wind. A man without direction is like a feather in the wind. We will just go left, right, forward, back, here and there, and we won't find our way. So what really is supported to a man's system, and you'll find, men, that this is really supported for, your wife's system and for your family system as well, when you can create some structure around not only your behaviors, your mental focus, the things you do for fun and your goal setting, but also, for your families, for your wife and for your partner, and being able to create that structure for them as well. It really helps to settle the system and, make everybody feel more safe. And that's a key component of masculinity. And, what I would invite after this video that we've written down at this point, maybe, the traits that we currently got in terms of actions and habits, mental focus, doing fun things and setting goals and a vision. And what I'd now invite, after we finish, is writing down what they would need to be. What do your habits and actions need to be this Christmas period leading into 2025 to put you in the strongest place to have the best year yet? What does your mental focus need to be every day, every moment, allowing you to catapult, if you like, and to kick on to have a tremendous 2025 and to have a great Christmas period as well, because we all want to have a great time, we want to have fun, we want to feel good, we want to think good. So what's going to be supportive of that? What fun things can you do in allowing you to have a great time, maybe without alcohol, without binge eating every day, without toxic behaviors that are unhelpful to you and are pulling you back and weakening you as a man. And, we're maybe operating out of this wound-based masculinity that we speak of. What is it that you feel like you can bring in, to your life to have fun and make memories with your kids without, doing things that are maybe not going to be the best for you? And now looking at, setting goals and vision. What goals can you set for yourself this Christmas leading up to 2025? How can you create the structure? How can you create a big enough why? How can you create a big enough reason to not maybe fall off the wagon, if you like, and set yourself some real attainable goals, and that is going to keep you focused and keep you healthy and keep you in a good place. For me, rather than being like the 99% of other men, being the top 1 to 3% of men, that maybe aren't doing these things, and over a certain period of time you will see your life transform, and you will see your family transform, and your relationships transform, and every other area of life will benefit from you showing up in a centered state of masculinity rather than a womb-based masculinity. um so I hope you've enjoyed this video and short masterclass. I've really enjoyed sharing some of this with you and how I see the Christmas period, and would love you for you to share what your takeaways from the video have been. If you've enjoyed it, if you haven't, if you've got any feedback, and would love to have conversations to see if you're suitable and meet the criteria to do men's work. It's changing the world. The world is changing, and men are changing, and there's more asked right now of the modern man more than ever before. And there's more, needed from us in order to step up and move out of womb-based masculinity and an ego-centered, ego-driven world, and moving into an eco-centered world where it's not about the individual, but equally the individual will thrive, and it's about creating an ecosystem in ourselves, in our families, so we can live, a truly fulfilling and successful life, because that's what we all want, isn't it? So yeah, hit me up, shoot me a follow on Instagram, let's chat. And know that over this Christmas period, you don't have to go it alone. There's plenty of people out there that care, that love you, and that want you to show up as the very best version of you. But the only person who can do that, man, is you. When you invest the time, energy, resources, finance in you, and your why becomes bigger than the pain that you're in. So let's do it, man. Let's make 2025 a great year. And I very much look forward to speaking to many of you soon. And hopefully, joining Men's Inner Mastery Academy, where we can take you on an incredible journey of self mastery, self discovery, and your untapped potential within, and get you to reach new heights that you may never have reached before by being a part of a brotherhood and an alliance of highly ambitious, courageous, and bold men who are making big moves and big changes in the world. So have an incredible Christmas and New Year, and I will see you all very soon. Bye for now, everyone.